Guys, let's bring up Raleigh Ohlmeyer.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Alright, so for those of you who don't know, I am an attorney. Practice criminal defense mostly.
Oh my God.
And, but I spent 15 years doing service industry, wait tables, and bartending, and I miss it. Because if you're a licensed professional, you got a lot of pressure. And people, they hold a lot of credence to that piece of paper that you hold. They come to you and they trust you just because the state says you should. One of the most interesting instances in which someone had to be trusted just because he had a piece of paper was told me by a friend of mine, my cousin. And they told me this over Thanksgiving dinner. My cousin's friend is a urologist, and one day they brought in someone who got real drunk and passed out with a cock ring on. For those of you who don't know what a cock ring is, it is a band that you put around your penis to keep the blood flowing out of your penis so you can keep an erection longer and maintain sex life. But when you pass out overnight and they bring you in,
Oh, shit.
I mean, so for those of you, again, cock rings, I gotta explain this by a leather daddy at a leather shop downtown. They said, you know, some people, they want them to be flowed a little more. Some people are a little bigger than each other, so you got snaps on the nice leather ones. But ultimately, it's to restrict the blood flow. So, of course, they bring this guy in, the urologist calls my cousin, who's a psychiatrist, because when you wake up without a penis, you're gonna have questions. And my friend put it this way. He said, you really don't understand how much power you have until you have a man's penis in one hand and a scalpel in the other. Even with all the abilities and power that he had, he was unable to save that man's member. And even he had to go through and cutting a guy's member off, and then the discussion that had to be had by my cousin with him about losing his penis because he got drunk and let the cock ring on. Ultimately, you got to remember that there's probably 2 teams of lawyers after that had to fight over whether the cock ring was constructed properly or whether it was used improperly. That's a lot of pressure, and guess what? I'm pretty sure the word cock ring shows up in the pleading. Even with all the powers that professionals have to get and learn, and over the years of practice, I've been practicing almost 20 years, I'm not God. I can't make shit just go away like my clients like to think they can. And sometimes I gotta explain to them, I said, look, a good lawyer knows the law, a great lawyer knows the judge. An excellent lawyer knows the law clerk, because they're usually the ones that tell the judge what to do. But over the years, between my father was an attorney as well, between he and I, we've amassed some pretty bad situations that we really couldn't do much with. Y'all familiar with Grand Isle? It's a mile-long island off the coast of Louisiana. He had 2 brilliant people who decided they were going to rob the bait shop in Grand Isle. So as soon as they left, the guy at the bait shop called the cops, and the cops called the guy at the drawbridge, and they lifted the bridge, and they went to jail. My very first case, I met this guy. He was my back waiter when I waited tables downtown. And the very first case I ever had was in Iberville Parish, and he got busted smoking weed. Not too uncommon. It's less problem getting arrested nowadays. But, you know, like most people, they're standing around smoking a joint, and everyone, when he goes to pass it, everyone stops and looks slightly behind him. And he turns around with a full set of lungs of smoke and blows the smoke in the cop's face and says, "Oh, shit." That was in the police report. He turned around, blew smoke in my face and said, "Oh, shit." He went to jail. One of my favorite cases of favorite clients that we ever had is this guy named Herman. He's dead now, but he got convicted of a murder case. This is something where we could actually do something for him. My dad got him a new trial, and in the facts of the case were that he went to go help his daughter move out of an abusive relationship with a dishonorably discharged Marine. So of course he brought what he refers to as his good friend gun. And when he was trying to say, "Okay, I'm taking her," the guy said no and picked up a giant flower pot made out of concrete and picked it up over his head. And Herman put 6 in his chest. He was dead before he hit the ground. So after my dad got him walked on self-defense, a few years later, Herman calls us up and he says, "Raleigh, I want to have my birthday party at your house because your house is much nicer than mine. I'll bring all the booze, I'll bring all the food." My dad said, "No problem, but I'm getting the cake." And of course, my father, who had demented comedic sense, which is probably why I'm doing this, bought a cake, and in the middle of it, he put a small flower pot and said, "Happy birthday, Herman. Don't bring a flower pot to a gunfight." Another instance where we were actually able to help. My father represented a guy who was Vietnamese, and he came over from Vietnam during the war, after the Vietnam War. And his car broke down, and he left it on the side of the road, came back to fix it, found someone in his car, got out of his car and shot a warning shot into the ground and held him there until the cops showed up. Charged him with attempted murder. And he had something to say. Normally you don't put a client on the stand because you don't know what they're going to say. This guy had something to say. My dad puts him on the stand. He says, "Sir, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Vietnam." I said, "What did you do in Vietnam before you came here?" He said, I Vietnam Green Beret, Colonel." I said, "How many years did you do that?" He said, 22 years. I said, "How many years did you see combat?" He said, 22 years. I said, "Sir, how many people have you killed?" The guy paused for a second and he said, 200, 300 people. "I'm a very good shot. I shoot, they die. No, live 22 year in Vietnam Green Beret, 22 year combat. You shoot, they die, or you die." 22 years, got him a not guilty. Time for one more. All right, I'm gonna go away from my legal stuff. I'm gonna go to something very serious. We'll talk about the event on January 6th. Of course, here in New Orleans, I'm talking about the Epiphany, or as we know it as King Cake Day. I'm walking down the street on King Cake Day, and everyone's got their trees out, and I'm a sportsman, so please, when you put your tree out, put it on the neutral ground so they collect it to help save the wetlands. But while I was walking down the street, I was thinking about my huge family, and everyone has an angel on their tree. Somebody has a bow, some people have a star. My family always has an angel. Because my cousin, one of my many cousins, told this story when he was about 15. He's now a pediatric anesthesiologist or something. So Santa comes out on Christmas Eve and he's getting ready to get in his sled, and everyone's been exceptionally good that day. And he looks up and says, "Jesus fucking Christ is coming along." Just before he gets in the sled and takes off on his trip around the world, an angel comes running out and says, "Santa! Santa! You forgot this Christmas tree! Where do you want me to stick it?" And Santa told him where to stick it, and that's why we have an angel on our Christmas tree. Thank you very much.
Give it up, everyone. Raleigh Ohlmeyer. If you need anything, you guys, he will get you out of trouble. He will get you off. Does anyone need to get off? Call that man. All right, y'all. I know it's getting a little cold, so we're going to keep the show rolling right along. Right now, we have a special guest for you.